¿Qué tal? Saludos muy buenas, Seahawkers. Estamos David y yo para hacer una entrevista a Matthew Lowe, @Matthew Lowe en internet, abogado y agente de la agencia de representación Overtime Sports Management Group. Y vamos a preguntarle un poquito alguna cosa, vamos a ver si le podemos sacar algo de información de la labor de los agentes NFL en el proceso pre-draft. Ya os voy a adelantar que es el agente de uno de los jugadores por los que Seattle se ha interesado en uno de los Pro Days que pudimos ver por Twitter, y al final nos pusimos en contacto con Matthew para poder hacerle la entrevista y poder sacar un poquillo de jugo a ver qué es lo que nos iba a contar. Entre David y yo le haremos las preguntas. Me imagino que más o menos todos podréis entender lo que dice, aunque os he de decir que ahora, hablando fuera de cámara, nos ha dicho Matthew que estuvo en España, estuvo 4 meses en España, en Barcelona, estudiando. Así que, bueno, igual intentamos que intenta hablar un poco en español a última hora, pero bueno, vamos con las preguntas. David, primera para Matthew.
Yeah, Matthew, first of all, thank you so much for joining us, for taking the time to be here today, because we understand that this is probably the busiest time of the year for you. Once college season finished, there's a little break there, but soon all the pre-draft process starts and it gains momentum, and well, we are almost there. So how is a regular day for you now these days?
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. This is my first year being an agent. It's a huge learning curve for me as well. So, I mean, kind of just going with the timeline. The first and the biggest day for us starts in June every year, and that's when it's called the National Scouting Report comes out, where all the scouts across the country come out with a report of about, I think last year was about 1,600 drafters all across college football, and from there, that's strategize, look down, see what type of players we might be interested in, see where their grades are at. They do so when they go in for testing, also test some of the juniors, the riders that are going to be coming out in the following year. So we already have kind of an idea of where they're going to test when they come to draft day. And from June all the way to the end of December for their regular season, that's when we're recruiting, because as soon as their season's over, most guys, it's going to be in December if they're not playing in the college football playoff. They get right to work. I think we had players first, second week of January, right after the new year, go right into training after we, secured them as clients. We had them all working out down in Houston. They were working, they were doing 2-a-days for 6 days a week from literally, I think they had a week off for Christmas and everything like that. And then they're just working out, like I said, 2-a-days, 6 days a week, grinding. And what they're preparing for, they're either going to be in one of the little all-star bowl games, whether it be the Shrine Bowl, whether it be the Hula Bowl, whether it be the Senior Bowl, Tropical Bowl, whatever it may be. They're preparing for that, as well as their pro day. I mean, especially for a lot of our guys at Overtime Sports Management Group, pro day, for a lot of them, that's their only chance really in front of any type of scouts, because we're getting a lot of guys from smaller schools or guys that might be getting overlooked because they transferred, something like that. So really, I mean, they are working almost 4 months just for one day to try and impress in front of a bunch of scouts, and hopefully they put up a bunch of numbers that gets them attention from different teams. So yeah, right now we're just finishing up through the pro day process. I think we have 1 or 2 more next week, and we're already setting up guys with different teams. Reed, for example, we're going to discuss later. He actually just got invited to the Jets local pro day coming up here, I think, next Friday. So yeah, right now it's all about finishing up our pro days, and then talking to teams, setting up meetings, seeing who's interested in our guy, hoping we can, climb the draft boards.
Yeah. Amazing how busy they are. Yeah.
Matthew, I imagine the players are also under a lot of stress these days with virtual meetings with teams, preparation for the combine, pro days, and visits with their franchise. How do agents help their clients stay focused?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Something, again, me as a first-year agent, something I'm trying to kind of learn as I go. Especially, for example, I think you guys saw I was at the Yale Pro Day with Reed and another client of ours, Miles Olden. And again, for them, they're coming out of small FCS school, not a lot of pro attention. So really that pro day was their only opportunity in front of scouts. So that was one of my biggest concerns, was trying to kind of keep their stress level low, make sure that, because, if you're going to come into a pro day super stressed out and really tense, really tight, it's not going to go well for you. So my biggest concern. So, my strategy, I was, fun trying to, the beforehand, not trying to build it up as, as big of a deal as it is, trying to kind of talk about some other things, honestly, it was my first time meet with them in person. So most of it, I was just trying to get to know them, kind of, again, try and just get them as relaxed as possible.
No sé si hemos perdido a
Matthew.
Sí,
yo creo que sí.
Matthew, te perdimos. Bueno, vamos a ver si intentamos recuperar al bueno de Matthew.
Una pena, porque estaba contando, lo que ya suponemos, ¿no? Para muchos de ellos tienen que trabajar durante un año, básicamente para tener una sola oportunidad de ser, ¿no? De tener ese momento ahí.
Ya está,
para demostrar todo lo que pueden valer.
Estamos. A ver, vamos a recuperarlo.
Yeah.
Vamos a ponerlo en la pantalla correcta. Ahora. Ok, Matthew. Also, you must be incredible organized to avoid problems with all the other agents in your agency. So how do you manage your own stress these days?
Yeah, my own stress. Honestly, so a lot of agents starting off, like myself, we have to have a full-time job, because being an agent's pretty expensive. Like I said before, the training that they do for 4 months, that can be something that's usually paid for by all the agents. So, yeah, I have a full-time job on top of trying to be an agent, trying to start up my own business and everything like that. I'm a full-time attorney, 45 hours a week. And then I'm trying to do agent work in between. So honestly, for me, and it's probably I am super busy, but for me, all the agent work is really just a reward and a lot of fun to do. It can be super stressful, and we're talking about some guys, careers, they're one shot at trying to make. To me, it's fun and very rewarding work. It really doesn't add too much stress on top of my daily life, so I just love doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, continuing with you said before that for many of the players, they don't have that many chances to show their skills. So beyond their tips, of course, pro days seems to be very important for them. So is there any kind of previous communication with franchises or regional scouts before these pro days, or do they simply arrive there depending on their previous interest on the players?
Yeah, so, and again, with smaller schools, it's a little less opportunities, but they still do have scouts that are going out to their games. All the teams going out to all their games, and there is communication with teams beforehand. So, for example, whenever we sign a client, the first thing we usually want to get is contacts with the player's head coach on his college team, as well as his position coach, to see who, which teams have already been in contact with either the player directly or one of his coaches, trying to get more information on the player. We kind of start from there. If a player, has already been talking to 2 or 3 teams, we're going to start with those 2 or 3 teams that are already interested, rather than trying to get, the other 20 teams interested, because it takes one team. You can only sign with one team, and that's, at the end of the day, if a team that is showing interest in your guy is probably going to be a better fit than trying to convince some other team that isn't interested in him.
Yeah, I understand that, making the most of the time just to focus on where do you really think that there's an opportunity there. So, for example, for one of your representees, Ray Nicholson, we know that there were people from Seattle in the pro day for the Yale Bulldogs. So, what can you tell us about him, and were you aware of that interest from Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you guys, I don't think Seattle is too interested in him. Just basically based on the type of player that he is, he's more of an outside linebacker in a 3-4 defense, whereas I understand, I think the Seahawks play a 4-3, so it's kind of a little bit out of his position. At the same time, that's what the view is in the scouts' opinion. That's not my opinion. I think he can play either on the edge or even an outside linebacker and still succeed in a 4-3. So that's just, what scouts are telling us is that he's going to be more of a outside linebacker in a 3-4. So Seattle has not shown too much interest post the pro day, but like I said, has gotten interest. It's going to be at the Jets local day. And basically, I mean, Reed as a whole, obviously coming out of Yale, a school like that, you're going to get a high character guy, obviously super smart, high work ethic, very disciplined, know exactly what you're going to get out of the player day in and day out in terms of trying to improve. You might not, bust up the charts with the best times in the 40 or something like that, but you know exactly what you're going to get out of him day in and day out, and he's going to be where he needs to be on the field. It's always going to be in position where the coaches tell him to, and he's always going to continue to be improving. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. I understand that this may not be the case for Nicholson, but I assume for all the players that maybe they are not in playing for top football programs, that when they know that representatives or scouts from pro teams will be in these pro days, I understand that this should be a huge motivation for them, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely. Like I said before, just some of them, it's their first and their closest attention with, professional scouts in general, even having like a taste of what it's like to be playing in front of somebody like, I mean, even an NFL scout, I think. Yeah, and then the other thing too that's a huge benefit is, even though, for example, at the Yale Pro Day, there's only 3 teams that were there, the Seahawks, the Jets, and the Giants. All the times, all the workout notes and everything like that get uploaded to the general system, so all 32 teams are able to see the results. And same with the film too. There's kind of a general database where all the teams are able to view every player, and so it's, I mean, hugely beneficial. You see every year, you see guys jump up the draft boards just from their pro day, or you see guys that aren't even on the radar of any teams become a person that can be drafted and really just change their entire outlook just based on a couple of drills that they're running on the field. It's pretty incredible how much of an impact pro days and something like a 40-yard dash really has on somebody's career.
Because I understand that maybe not all the teams are interested on a player right now in order to draft it or sign it right now, but it's also good to have good reference, because you never know in the future, right? Maybe in the future these players are again available, and you have notes telling you, okay, maybe at that time we don't need this kind of player, but now it's interesting for us, and he has showed this progress and things. So
yeah, and another thing with that too is, some of our guys they're not going to make a 53-man roster right away, but they might make another team's practice squad, and a year or two down the road, the Seahawks might take a second look at the guy because they already saw him work out once. Another really big thing with pro days is talking with the teams, because again, personality is, in my opinion, a lot more important of a factor, whether this guy personality-wise is going to fit into your team. And obviously with a guy like Reed coming out of Yale, super high character guy, that's somebody that to know at the pro day that might think of in a year or two, depending on how he's improved, say he were to be on a practice squad.
And getting back to Seattle, and well, it's a franchise that has been known for be always looking for diamonds in the rough. Maybe not in the top rounds, but maybe in the lower ones. I guess that at a certain point it's the same for every team. But Seattle has a history for trying to do that more than others. So in that regard, not only for Seattle, but which players that maybe they are not that flashy or not in the, I don't know, in the mock drafts for the first rounds, which ones that you represent do you think that have a better chance to be drafted?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm going to talk about some of our guys that we have in our agency. First one that comes to mind is a guy that, is an example of someone who wasn't on anybody's radar, and he came up to pro day and he balled out, and now he's having a workout with the Texans next. His name's London Harris out of Texas State. He is a middle linebacker. Actually, in my opinion, he'd be a great fit for the Seahawks. I know you guys got Bobby Wagner, but you guys definitely need some young guys to come in there and, start to learn under him. Additionally, again, tested off the charts at his pro day. So I think just from day one, he's going to be able to be a huge special teams player on any team he goes to. Another guy we have is Calvin Tyler Jr. out of Utah State. He's a running back. He is a complete workhorse in college, had over 1,600 yards this year. On his pro day, the biggest thing scouts were telling us coming in was that he needed to run below 4.6. He ran a 4.53. He, again, tested off the charts and starting to climb up some draft boards. And then even Reed Nickerson, who we were talking about earlier, again, another guy who I think when we were talking to scouts is graded as like a rookie training camp invite at best. Has impressed, maybe not. Again, he's not going to ever run the fastest 40 or jump the highest, whatever the case may be. But as soon as they saw him in their positional drills and just saw the type of player and, again, guy that he is, they liked him enough to invite him back to the Jets local day. And, again, a year from now, he was a guy who thought that he had absolutely no chance to go to the pros. And now he's been invited to a private workout. So it's pretty crazy to see, how far someone's stock can change just in a short amount of time.
Yeah, good to know. So we know where to have an eye on draft days. So yeah. For those that unfortunately will not be drafted, but we know that there's also an opportunity on the undrafted market. So how are these negotiations for the undrafted players? Because I understand that in most cases this starts even before the draft ends, right? So I mean, during 7th round, maybe you start to get contacts offering maybe the opportunity to sing as undrafted.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well. I haven't been through a draft yet where I actually have like personal clients that have the potential to do that, but that is my exact understanding is around the 6th, 7th round. I mean, even obviously we're talking to teams now and having meetings with teams. They're giving us an idea. If we were to take him, it's going to be around the 6th, 7th round. If not, he's going to be one of our priority guys immediately after the draft. And then kind of sort of as they see how the draft goes, there might be a guy, in the 6th round that they didn't think was going to be there. So then they would say to us, like, hey, we had to take this guy, but we're still, if your guy's not taken, we're going to be your first call as soon as the draft comes off or as soon as the draft's over. So again, very fluid situation. Depends how the draft falls. We do start getting contact from teams sort of, obviously now and before the draft, but great ideas of where they think of our guy and what they want to do.
Yeah, because from the agent point of view, how do you work on those 3 days? I mean, do you get together, all the agents from the same agency work together in the same location, or each of you take care of different people, or how it goes through? Because we see the teams that get together have this war room, let us call it, and I'm curious about how is how similar it could be for the agents, or if not.
Yeah, we're OSMG. We're getting a war room in Kansas City, so we're going to be in the same city as the draft. We're getting a big Airbnb and could be posted up in one of the big rooms watching the draft unfold. One of the things that we do in our agency is we put a team around every player. So every player is going to have 5 or 6 agents on the deal. So that way they have any chance, if somebody's busy, there's always going to be somebody that can give them the personal attention they need. So we do like to get together for the draft because we're already, intertwined on all these different players' deals that, it makes no sense for us to be in the same room and collaborate in terms of where we think is going to be the best fit for a player. Because a lot of times, and some of our guys, there's going to be 2 or 3 teams after the draft trying to sign our guy to their roster. And at that point, that's something where we need to talk with the player as well as in between all of us and think where's his best chance to make the 53-man roster at the end of the day. If there's 5 running backs ahead of him, it doesn't really make much sense for him to sign with one team as opposed to another team with, it looks like one guy's on his way out the door and there's only 2 other. We like our chances for that guy to make the roster on that team rather than the other team. So, yeah, we definitely do get a war room, just like the teams do. We're going to be in a nice Kansas City Airbnb, and we're going to be watching the draft heavily and talking out all our strategies.
Interesting. So,
Yeah.
Sam, I don't know if you have any other
For me, it's all.
questions there.
Thanks a lot, Matthew. We hope all your players do well in the draft, and if any of them sign with Seahawks, please let us first.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There.
How'd you guys, I guess, become Seahawks fans?
Wow, that's, I guess, different story for everyone.
Yeah.
Gemma, if you want to go with your story of how you became a Seahawks fan.
Because of love. Legion of Boom, these years watching
Is that a
the
Sherman jersey behind you?
These years were amazing,
So in my case, it's a little bit more or less romantic. My story is more like I was interested in the sport. So I didn't, for me, if I have to follow a sport, it has to be something related to the competitivity. And I cannot follow a sport if I'm not supporting a team or a player or whatever. So have to decide. I started to see, okay, let's see. I don't want to be supporting a team that it's always winning. I don't want to jump in the bandwagon of the winners. So, for example, Patriots was rolled out. But I didn't want either to be already with a team, that's never won any. So I just said, okay, in the last 20 years, teams that have only won 1 or 2 Super Bowls. And then I like the T-shirt. I like the Seattle. I have a relationship with Seattle.
Great.
Yeah, and I have a relationship with Seattle because of music, and I love Pearl Jam and in general grunge. So it just makes sense,
Yeah.
And then I started to follow the team. So
have you guys been out there for a game?
Because you are from northwest of Spain.
Exactly, that's another thing. I will be in Washington.
In the other northwest.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also rainy here, so it's perfect.
Have you guys been out to a game yet in Seattle?
Not in Seattle, but Tema, you have been several games, right, here in Europe?
Yeah, I went from the Riders Seahawks in London, and this year the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against Seahawks.
Gotcha.
Also.
Yeah, you guys gotta make your way out there to Seattle one day. Make a huge production.
That's the plan, I think.
Awesome.
At some point, trying to get there, because I think even if we appreciate that the game's coming here to Europe, I think that the experience has to be completely different, because it's a whole stadium rooting for the team. It has to be amazing, and hopefully soon.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, guys, for having me on, and I'll definitely keep you updated. Hopefully, hopefully we got some guys getting either drafted or signed to the Seahawks, and we'll be in touch later. Have one of them on the show and everything like that.
Yeah, and hopefully we will get a T-shirt from one of your players in the.
For sure.
Okay.
Get them on the wall back there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of space, so that's great. All right,
Take
Matthew.
care.
Again,
Thank you
so
Thank you.
much.
It's a
It's
pleasure
a
for us.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Exacto.
Bueno, pues hasta aquí la entrevista con Matthew Lowe, abogado y agente NFL en la agencia Overtime Sports Management Group. David, ¿qué te ha parecido?
Bueno, la verdad es que es un lujo, ¿no? Poder hablar con alguien, sobre todo para nosotros desde aquí de España, que no tenemos el acceso que tienen allá para todo ese tipo de información, pues alguien que te lo cuente de primera mano, ¿no? Sobre todo porque también lo que nos llega aquí es para agencias que llevan a jugadores súper importantes o que sabemos que van a estar en rondas altas y al final eso no deja de ser un porcentaje pequeño, ¿no? De todo lo que se cuece esos días y, bueno, todo el proceso pre-draft. Y te da un poco esa información que te hace ver la magnitud de lo que supone para muchos jugadores, ¿no? Estar, pues, bueno, estos últimos 4 meses, pero en realidad todos estos años para llegar aquí, para tener una sola oportunidad, ya no solo en el draft, sino de poder mostrar sus skills a los scouts, porque incluso aunque no sean drafteados, esa información, ¿no? Lo hablábamos con él, puede ser importante en el futuro, ¿no? Porque lo que un club ahora, un equipo ahora, una franquicia no está buscando, puede que en el futuro sí, y tienen esa información, entonces dar una buena impresión, incluso aunque no te lleve ahora a ser drafteado a un contrato, te puede hacer hueco en un practice squad y nada, súper interesante, ¿no? Todo lo que nos ha contado y bueno, ya un poco más en clave de Seattle. Bueno, ¿no? Le preguntábamos por Nickerson y que él cree que sí que había scouts que lo siguen, que les puede interesar hasta cierto punto, pero cree que no es, ¿no? Un jugador que les sea tan interesante. El que le da la impresión, ¿no? Que él no está muy de acuerdo con eso, porque él cree que sí que puede ser un buen fit para Seattle, pero por su forma de jugar y cómo ahora está jugando Seattle en defensa, aunque bueno, nosotros sabemos que
Es una
parece
pasada,
que hay, sí, porque hay un pequeño cambio ahí que están intentando, ¿no? hacer, pero que no les da salido. Entonces, bueno, no sé, yo creo que es interesante que sí que lo tengan ahí, aunque sí que nos comenta que parece que el que sí que realmente, los que sí que han mostrado mucho más interés son Jets, ¿no? Que incluso le van a hacer unos entrenamientos, le van a hacer una visita, entonces...
Claro.
Bueno.
Claro, es que al final esto que estamos hablando, al final lo podemos llevar a nuestro fútbol y claro, no es lo mismo ser la gente, ser un Mendes de la vida, que tienes una agenda que casi no te hace falta ni moverte, que en agencias con jugadores más desconocidos, más de universidades que pasan un poquito más por debajo del radar. Al final ese trabajo tiene que ser muy bueno, tiene que multiplicarse y que esos jugadores, aunque estén en División 2, estuve mirando el otro día los jugadores que se puede mirar en la cuenta de Twitter de Matthew o de la agencia, todos son de División 1. El año pasado, por ejemplo, a Josh Ohyungu, que entrevistamos, era de División 2 y el receptor que seleccionamos en 7ª ronda, que ahora mismo no me acuerdo cómo se llama, que está en plantilla, que está en el roster. ¿Cómo se llama esta persona?
A ver.
Que lo he borrado ahora mismo de mi cabeza.
Y ahora... 7ª ronda, has dicho, ¿no?
Sí.
Pues
seleccionamos a Bo Melton, que se fue.
Sí, Bo Melton.
Y luego el otro.
Derek
Young, que si mal no recuerdo era de División 3. O sea que al final.
Lenoir Ryan.
De Lenoir. Aunque son jugadores desconocidos, pero al final llegan a los equipos en sexta, en 7ª ronda. Jugadores que no son drafteados en priority free agents, que lo llaman ellos así un poquito para darle un poquito más de color al asunto. Al final es interesante tener a toda esta gente un poquito en la agenda y tener ciertas, pues eso, referencias, porque termina el draft y te tienes que traer lo menos 15 o 20 para hacer el minicamp.
No, hombre, y es claramente el momento de hacer las apuestas. Es decir, si tú ves a un jugador que tienes dudas porque no sabes, ves que tiene cualidades, pero no sabes cómo ha jugado contra rivales que igual no son los mejores te queda siempre la duda, ¿no? De cómo va a rendir a otro nivel, pero estás en 7ª ronda, o sea, si tienes que hacer una apuesta, hazla ahí. Nadie te va a machacar porque un 7ª ronda no haga roster, ¿no? Entonces, es ahí donde tiene que estar. Y es interesante saber también cómo funcionan ellos en el caso de que ellos no pueden llamar a todas las puertas, ¿no? Entonces, ellos lo que tienen que tener es un feeling de ver qué franquicias realmente pueden estar interesadas, en cuáles realmente podría ser interesante, y con esas 2, 3 sí que ahí, intentar forzar un poco, por ejemplo, el tema, ¿no?
Lo que estaba diciendo ahora mismo, cuando hablaba de que el middle linebacker, London Harris, que estaba haciendo pruebas con Texans, me imagino que si llama a Seattle preguntando por London Harris, sabiendo que tenemos cierta necesidad de ese puesto, a lo mejor les da prioridad a esa oferta a otro equipo que tenga 6, 7 middle linebacker, que va a decir, oye, es que al final este jugador mío, London Harris u otro, lo que va a hacer es luchar por entrar primero en el roster, y si no entra en el roster, por estar en el PS. Al final, también ellos como agentes tienen que ver cuál es la opción mejor para su jugador. Yo me imagino que en esa sexta o séptima ronda, que decía él que todavía no, al final es su primer año como agente, ¿no? Que yo me imagino que debe ser incómodo porque al final esas llamadas que igual tú como agente piensas que te van a llamar al jugador para seleccionarlo, lo que te están diciendo es que, oye, termina el draft y estoy interesado en tu jugador, que bueno, al final es una sensación un poco agridulce, porque para ellos me imagino que su máxima idea es que draften a sus jugadores, pero también será interesante que se los lleven como agentes libres, porque al final está en juego el pan de todos.
Sí, hombre, a ver, claro, les fastidiará porque el tema de hay ciertas... Bueno, en 7ª ronda ya no creo que tantas, pero bueno, sí que hay ciertas cosas que te aseguras, ¿no? Siendo drafted. Entonces, claro, que te llamen para decirte, sí, nos interesa, pero no está, o sea, no lo suficiente para gastarnos ni una seta. Entonces,
no nos vamos a gastar una ronda, eso es.
Pero cuando estás ahí, supongo que al final lo que tienes que decir es, bueno, lo que me llegue, aprovecharlo, ¿no?
Hay que cogerlo, claro. Yo me imaginaba, cuando estaba contando esta opción de pensar, me imagino que no a todos los jugadores tendrán esa opción de tener varias ofertas. Al final yo creo que se tienen que tirar casi a la que te llaman. La que te llaman, sí. Decir que sí y...
No, lo otro es un bendito problema, ¿no? Si el problema es no saber dónde elegir, porque al final al menos tienes una seguridad de que ser en algún lado, ¿no? Y también me resultó interesante porque, claro, siempre vemos a los equipos, ¿no? En esas war rooms, ahí todos debatiendo, eligiendo, todos aplaudiendo cuando se elige. Y claro, ellos tienen algo parecido, ¿no? En su agencia todos. Y como al final esos días no es que tengan un agente asignado a cada jugador, sino que tienen un equipo, ¿no? Asignado a cada jugador, de forma que supongo que sí, evitar que el agente en ese momento, uno en particular, pueda no estar disponible, que siempre tengan, ¿no? Un backup, un grupo de gente y que les pueden ayudar. Así que
curioso eso del Airbnb, ¿no? Ahí
sí, que se juntan. Sí, a mí lo que se me viene a la cabeza es, ¿no? Bueno, no me sale el nombre ahora. El ex head coach de Arizona, ¿no? En su mansión allí.
El Kingsbury este.
Sí, o los Rams, ¿no? Con la mansión esa que alquilaban, incluso que la alquilaron el año pasado, incluso sin primera ronda ni nada.
En plan casa rural.
Sí, y aquí todos estos metidos en un Airbnb. Representando muchísimos jugadores, pero bueno, cada uno, claro, hace lo que puede.
Pues David, gracias, tío, por estar por aquí.
Nada, hombre, un placer.
Que estaba la gente por ahí, no todo el mundo está disponible. Gracias por estar un sábado, que lo estamos grabando un sábado, ya lo sacaremos el lunes cuando lo editemos y lo que dejemos así un poquito pulcro. Así que nada, tío, gracias por echarme un cable con el inglés, porque si no, esto no lo saco adelante con el bueno de Matthew. Encima se le estropeaba un poquito la conexión. Debe ser que desde Milwaukee hasta Madrid y Galicia no nos pillaba bien la conexión.
No, bueno, bastante hicimos, yo creo que...
Sí, ha estado digno. Al final, para él también bien, ¿no? Porque...
sí, se le veía cómodo también. Además estuvo en España, o sea que tiene cierta conexión aquí, ¿no?
Eso es.
Y le interesaba también saber cómo habíamos acabado nosotros en este mundillo.
Total.
Que me parece una pregunta muy razonable, por otra parte, porque
estos
locos aquí...
Estos tolibis, ¿qué coño?
Interesados no en quién metió 3 touchdowns, ¿no? Sino en cómo funciona
en la labor.
el draft. Sí, Entiendo la pregunta.
Es curioso. Pues nada, lo dicho. Gracias, David. Y
Muy
nada,
bien.
si tenemos más entrevistas, esto está abierto para que vuelvas cuando quieras. Esta es tu casa. Por aquí ya ha dormido todo el mundo. Ha dormido Tuto, ha dormido Nacho, ha dormido Alex. O sea que también no descarto que termine durmiendo, haciendo un Airbnb para el draft.
Bueno, algún día será.
Perfecto, David. Muchas gracias.
Venga, chao a todos.
Chao, chao.